Okay. Oh, recording in progress. Look at that.
We're
Got it.
recording.
I
Hi,
don't know what to
everyone.
do or say.
I love how we're starting this. This is the best.
I'm so scared. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm good. Okay.
Oh, nice. Who is that?
This is the cheat from Homestar.
Oh, is that a cartoon?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll link you separately. It's goofy. It's
Awesome.
goofy fun.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm here with my friend Brian, and we don't know what we're going to talk about. When we were preparing for this chat, we discovered that we love many things, that we love so many things, and that the things that we love are informed by our own self-discovery, our process of self-discovery.
Yeah.
So we're not sure what we're going to talk about, but
yeah.
What are you loving today?
No, I just played StarCraft with Noah and I had a blast. I really like video games today. Like, that's been great for me.
Yeah.
And my brother just reminded me that The Magicians is a show on Netflix, and so I've been spamming that, and I'm loving that.
I only made it through the first season of Magicians.
Oh.
I think it got a little creepy for me or something.
No, that tracks. That
Yeah.
totally tracks. I like it because I love the books.
Okay.
Which is like Harry Potter, but everyone's an absolute jerk to everyone. And that comforts me. It comforts me to see media content where people are very human.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I can feel a little detached from whatever it is. You know, if everyone's too idealized or like everyone's impossibly a jerk. I just don't connect to it. But like a bunch of college students being real tools for multiple books,
it just tracks
right at home. Oh, I love that.
I feel like the Butterfly Man just kind of freaked me out.
Yes.
Character.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. No spoilers, but yeah. No, you're right to be creeped out. So I've been loving that. And we're coming up on a massive Christmas break, so I'm just feeling really good about having a lot of time available.
Yeah.
To do whatever I want. Because I cast a really wide net. On my more optimistic days, I call myself a Renaissance man, and on my and on every other day, I say it's kind of weird that I go after so much stuff.
I love it.
So over this break, I'm going to be reading a ton. I'm going to be painting a lot of miniatures, something I did in middle school, and then stopped for an awful long time. And then recently remembered that exists and that it was a very peaceful and joyful activity.
What is that? Miniatures? Like miniature paintings?
Like I have one right here. And it's just a horrifying zombie.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Like little models of things.
Yeah, exactly. Little tiny models. So I bought some plague zombies because apparently the miniatures that I go after are whatever I'm most terrified of in the day and age, which COVID and death. So got both bases covered. So I struggle a lot in whatever my pursuit is, which is kind of why I bounce around. I struggle a lot with like perfectionism or just, needing it to do something for me.
Yeah.
That I'm not generating for myself. And with most things that I go after, that shows up really prominently. And for some reason, maybe it's because it was such a pure activity in middle school, painting miniatures has just retained that simple joy that needs nothing but for me to show up and have a good time and play whatever music I'm loving, sit in the basement and just paint. And it helps that our basement's very heated in the winter. So I'm having a great time with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have separate heating for all the different rooms, but the basement's just gets all the like spillover from the furnace.
Got it.
So set up a little workshop there. And that's great. Awesome. Yeah. So painting, reading, gonna watch a ton of shows, play lots of video games, and maybe go outside. Maybe. That might happen if the mood takes me.
Do you ice skate?
No, I don't. as a kid, we went out on, there was a pond 5 minutes from our house. We'd go out on the pond, fall over a lot. I never really got into it.
No, I'm a
No,
terrible
it's
ice
just,
skater.
winter sports didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
We played tennis in the summer, we played soccer in the fall. Winter was for like snow tubing off of our back deck.
Oh,
And then going to the high
yes.
school and snow tubing off the giant hill and getting hurt real bad. That's
Oh.
what winter was for. And it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also the hill near our house. And we
Right.
couldn't really snow tube in the backyard, and we didn't have much of a porch, so there was nothing going on there. But
Yeah. No, we'd build like a tiny little ramp and then just gradually coast down this long backyard into the neighbor's yard, and then trudge back up over a course of minutes. So
Yeah.
the high school hill was way better. Everyone from Grammy, Connecticut will remember that you could build a ramp on the high school hill and get some serious air, and then the snow tube would fall out from under you. Kind of
Land on your
drift for a
back.
while through the snow. Yeah, loved it. Oh man, that was so great.
What are you reading right now? How many books are you? Do you read many books or just one?
I have one book going at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one real book, book with words, and then maybe a graphic novel or a manga or something going kind of in parallel. And if I'm like trudging through something really serious, then I'll have a less serious book going on the side. Fortunately, I'm in a casual season, which I very much enjoy. So I have been rereading Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels, which are delightful in all respects.
Is it fantasy?
Yes.
Oh,
it's
nice.
like fantasy, and every character is a human. Well, no, they're all different races, but the characters are people, real people.
Okay.
And they act like it. Terry Pratchett's an absolute genius. His work is so incredible and humanizing and delightful, and it pokes fun at everything. But like Letterkenny, there's no real heat behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And my neighbor Lee is the one who turned me on to Discworld from 15 to 20 years ago. She moved in next door and had a huge library, and she told us to come over and take lots of books.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then she pushed those on us, and I love them so much. This is a wide cast of characters, and so they've been my constant companions.
When did you start reading them? How old were
15,
you?
20 years ago. I keep forgetting when they moved in next door.
Okay.
I always ask my parents, I'm like, is that long ago? So probably 5 years past whatever I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Young age, like elementary, middle school. And they're accessible. They were super accessible to me at the time, where I would just ignore words I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had so much replay content that I kept going through them over and over. And there's 20 plus Discworld books.
And how many times have you read them all the way through?
Probably. Well, they kept adding on. Terry Pratchett kept adding on books as we went. So some of them, 4 or 5, 6 times, and then some of them twice.
Yeah.
They just, those and any Neil Gaiman books, those all just do a great job. They're filler material, but you're always going to get something out of them.
Right.
So I usually like to have one of those on the burner.
Just reading it through. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your I want to say it's like your blankie, or it's not really, but you know what I mean.
Well, no, my blankie's over there. It's wonderful. If I had a security blankie, which I guess some books. Yeah, I mean they're pure comfort food, but I don't feel like a casual for reading them, because some part of me still wants to, be reading real books for adults who care about the serious world.
Yeah, but what does that even mean?
Means I'm setting the goalposts in a really weird spot for an activity, for like a fun activity. But for whatever part of me feels the need for that, these have just enough that I just feel good reading them. It's like a beautiful, beautiful tribute to Lee, who passed away March of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a lot of her collection. So now I have almost all the Discworld books instead of running next door to get them.
That's amazing.
Which I'll miss, but they still, they smell like old paper and cigarettes. So it's.
Do you like to read like paper books, or do you also read on a Kindle?
I have a Kindle. It's just for things that I can't find in paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or for free books. Yeah. So that's what that's for. That's for the book is out of print in real life, but $5 on the Kindle, so I'll snap it up there.
Right.
But I prefer paper whenever possible.
Yeah.
I just love the feel of paper. And I used to need my books to be like really perfect condition. When I inherited some of Lee's collection, I absolutely gave up on that. Like, this is the worst, most beaten up condition I've ever seen a book, and I'm going to treasure it.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't care about that anymore. It's very liberating.
I love that. I used to be a big paper, like hold it in my hand person, but now, because a lot of what I read isn't fantasy, it's like spirituality or something like that. I love the capacity to like highlight something, and then you can like all the notes that you've highlighted are right there.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I can see that having a lot of value for stuff you're trying to pull information from.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going through my Kindle yesterday and looking at, I have I don't know, there are hundreds of books on this thing, like more than 500.
Yeah.
And of those, many of them I've read like 20% of. But when I was younger, even if I hated a book, I would make myself read the whole thing.
Yep.
Like, I just had to. It's like, no, you started it, you're going to finish it, even if it's the worst, most ridiculous book ever.
Even if it's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I remember that feeling well.
But now, no, okay, I've got the gist of this.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a fiction story. I'm not like leaving halfway through the storyline.
Yeah. There's a sense of departure when you abandon characters in a narrative that just doesn't exist as much, unless the author of a nonfiction book is like really trying to get you to stay. They're like, no, wait, I promise there's something better in the next decade of his reign.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's okay to leave your books about codependency like half done. That kind of thing.
Just like real codependency.
Yeah. Okay, I got enough about this love addiction pattern. I don't need any more. I'm good.
Well, I mean, like, I need more, but that's not for the book.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna go drain a person for that.
Oh God. Do you have a whole collection of like self-help style or spirituality books?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this earlier because I knew it was gonna the progression over time was gonna come up, and I was gonna be flustered. I do have a number of books in the self-help, which I feel like, incidentally, that phrase gets such a bad rap.
Yeah, it just sounds cheesy. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Every once in a while, I want to go like remove the associations between some cheesy phrase, and I'm like, well, but they did ask for it by publishing a bunch of cheesy books.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brene Brown was a lot of help to me early on. So I have a couple. I think I don't even remember. I definitely have some like psych books. Like, let's just understand the baseline material of this phenomenon. I have Your Body is Your Subconscious Mind on CD. Altered Traits was about like meditation and, you know, how the body just defaults to doing different things after some time meditating.
Which one did you love?
There was that book.
Oh yeah, The Body Keeps the Score. What was your absolute favorite one that you've ever read?
Well, Brene Brown was super accessible to me, just starting to realize that no, his life hadn't been perfect, which was liberating and also a real blow, because it was like, there's a reason for this. You're not going to like it very much. So that was the perfect gateway and introduction, and nothing else really would have done quite as well at that point.
I love her stuff.
Yeah.
I actually really like The Gifts of Imperfection, I think it's called.
That's the first one I read.
Yeah. I think that's the one that I listened to on audiobook, and I loved it because, it really helped normalize things for me.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's before you can go about changing anything, you have to at least be okay with, not like be okay with yourself where you are, but like understand that it happens for people to be where you are.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird like pre-getting anything done denial that this could even be a reality.
Sure, like the shame about having shame.
don't have to be okay with it. Like, I'm not going to make you do that. But it's good to know that it's real.
Yeah.
It's not just one big hallucination. Yeah, she definitely helped me with that. It's her language is so folksy and accessible, which I think is missed in a lot of the more we're going to describe a phenomenon literature, which is why I love The Body Keeps the Score, but I wouldn't have wanted it to be the first one I read.
Yeah, it's kind of intense.
I cried.
Did you cry? That one,
Oh,
did
yeah,
you cry?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I cried a
Yeah.
decent. I was at a dance event, and I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to bring that along for light reading.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in between the stress of competitions and being judged by other humans, let's read about trauma for a while.
Yeah.
It didn't go well for me. I think I bombed out of that comp.
Did you? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I set myself up.
Well, you were working a lot.
Oh yeah.
If you were reading something like that, it just brings up a lot.
Yeah. And when you're supposed to be social dancing with your friends and then performing for other people is a real bad time to be reading Bessel van der Kolk. But well, he gets results.
You had perfect timing, like the soul.
Such perfect. Oh, such perfect timing. Oh, exactly what I was supposed to be working on right there was just getting humiliated because I'm off my game.
What was the absolute worst self-help book that you've read?
Oh, the second half. I say this because I know you can take it. The second half of Death of the Mythic God did nothing for me.
Yeah.
It actively turned me off of everything the author had previously said.
Interesting. Now I'm forgetting what the second half is like.
Vibrations and colors, and I just felt like he was kind of condescending about it.
I don't even think I read about it. Read that part. I read like
great.
half of that book. That's one of the 30% books.
I loved the first half of it. And when I got to the second half, I think I messaged you and you were like, yeah, he's not that great in this part.
Well, by then you got the message. I mean,
I got the message and then discarded every other part of it.
That's good. Yeah.
Thanks to Megan Dupree for telling me to mine the gold and then ignore all the other shit. That's such good advice. Repeated to me many times as I kept forgetting to mine the gold and then discard the other shit.
I'm trying to think of like the worst. What was the worst self-help book that I've ever read? Gosh. Well, one of my favorites. Well, Brene Brown's right up there for, the average person.
Yes.
I gotta say, Mating in Captivity.
It's on my list. I forget who wrote it. Oh, no, that's Esther. Oh, that's Esther Perel.
Yeah. Did we already talk about this?
You linked me the We Can Do Hard Things podcast on something. It was definitely about something.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I don't like that book is because she makes the suggestion that people choose in relationships whether they want safety or if they want passion, and then you can't have both. And I loathe that. I know that is not true, and I hate that message.
Yeah, I have thoughts about that, and they're just agreeing with you because I learned about safety from you. So, and Megan, again, such shout outs. You're wonderful, and I so appreciate you and our time together.
I also read a lot of have you ever heard of David Hawkins? Do you know who David Hawkins is? The Power versus Force, and he's got the levels of consciousness and all that.
Someone mentioned it existed to me. And sometimes someone gives me a recommendation and I just feel no desire to go after it. It was that.
Yeah. It's a very intellectual book. It's a very intellectual book.
No, thanks.
It's about this guy who's like a scientist who does applied kinesiology and muscle tests for the levels of vibration for different things.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like overhandling to me.
I think it's like the theories and some of his ideas are very interesting, but at some point I just realized like it's kind of yucky to be rating these things.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mentioned this to me. This asshole. Was he the one who kicked people out of his workshop or like gated the workshop? No, someone else.
No, that was someone that was using his theories.
Okay, that's accomplice to what I will call emotion crime. And
emotion crime? Is that what you said?
Okay, I need a better name for it. It's something crime. I swear to God.
I'm trying to
I'll
think
come
of
back. I'll figure it out later.
what's my most favorite. One of my most favorite books is Healing into Life and Death.
Oh.
That's a book about how people, when they get a terminal diagnosis, they it's a huge opportunity for spiritual growth and healing, just emotional growth. It's just a huge opportunity depending on how you approach it. And I had when I first read it, I had a real aversion, like I was very afraid of death and dying. And that book really unlocked a whole, I just loved reading it. Loved it. God, there's a lot of bad books in here. Some good ones.
I have one that's like it's on the best worst list.
Yeah.
Which is back from my kendo days, which is a Japanese sword fighting, full contact, and you're hitting people. It's great. And I just have a lot of physical trauma from it. So I'll get back to it eventually. But at the time I went through my swordsmanship phase, which was a lot of fun because I was buying, the Book of Five Rings by Musashi, and the Demon's Sermon on the Martial Arts and the Unfettered Mind by this monk who taught swordsmanship. A lot of really cool stuff. There's a biography of Teshu, which was wonderful. And one of the books was basically this crotchety old dude's like meditations on society at the time and death, and half of it's like, people aren't as cool these days, they should be dying for their lord. Lord like terrestrial, not like God. And the other half was like, what's the big deal, just meditate on death until you're okay with it.
Yeah.
And I loved the like intentionally engaging with the concept of one day you're gonna die, and just doing that over and over. Like the brute force really appeals to me, though it doesn't always work. I love brute force. I like side by side with a more surgical, like what's the actual roadblock? Okay, now let's beat it into the ground with caring and attention.
There are these in Hinduism, there are these yogis who, like, for the first 10 years of their spiritual life, they go to the cremation grounds and they just do their spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Like with the heads, like with the skulls, just they carry skulls around with them.
Yeah.
Always reminding themselves of their mortality.
I think this guy advocated the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I think they had charnel grounds then as well. Yeah. And I love a nice peaceful cemetery. I don't think I'd go to a place with lots of bones. Maybe once for fun. But that felt very pure of motive to me. Like no one's getting hurt by this. You're just gonna go look at some bones and think to yourself, that's me someday. Eventually sink in. That was so beautiful. And then all the other self-sacrificing shit, I just didn't. At the time I was like, this is correct and the way. I've since realized it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
But
right.
But the bringing all of your attention onto one hobby or passion or pursuit or whatever we want to call it, a discipline or purpose, all different names. I love that idea in theory, and I applied in like little micro ways to whatever I happen to be about at the time.
Yeah.
Usually a video game. So I think if they saw me sitting at my desk, they'd probably think he's not moving around enough. But maybe they'd admire my conviction. Oh, the master swordsman of old.
Oh, sure.
We spend all day, it's like all day, every day, just fight.
Yes, you're doing a different kind of kung fu.
Yeah. This one has less physical trauma, which I love.
Yeah.
In its season, I want to get back to that because I have loved different movement, so much.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
It's like me with dance. I think every now and then, I miss salsa dancing.
I miss modern.
You miss modern.
Oh, I miss modern dance. Oh, that was like such conduit for emotion, so expressive and goofy, which was very important for me because I hadn't had goofy movement normalized yet.
Who normalized
my modern teacher, Haley Zdebski at the time, now Haley Fabricki, was so helpful and encouraging. And we like did a routine at one point, like at an auditorium for people. I was petrified. But yeah, modern was so wonderful to me. And then I moved and COVID happened. And so I haven't been doing modern.
You haven't done any modern.
Or any dance. No, I'm playing it super duper safe.
Yeah, it's good for now.
Safer than I need to be, probably. But it's like, if I'm just super safe, I don't need to put thought into it. So I'm saving energy on that front.
That's true. Yeah, less mental energy.
Yeah.
I remember, have you ever done ecstatic dance? You tried that?
No. You sent me a video and I thought, this is for some people and I'm not there. It's like I respect it, but it's just not for me.
Oh God. I went once, I've been a couple times to a live ecstatic dance event. And of course there was the part of me like, these people look like idiots. Like the way they're moving is idiotic. That's the judging part of me, you know?
Yes.
And I was really uncomfortable. I mean, this is 5 years ago now. And then I got more comfortable with myself, with being silly, with being funny looking. And I took my kids a couple 3 years ago, maybe, to an ecstatic dance event, thinking my daughter was 10, my son was 7, like they'd have fun. Oh my God, they were horrified. It was horrifying to them.
I get it.
Well, I do too, but I was at the same time like surprised that even at that age, the perception of it's not okay for grownups to move like this was there. Like they would have been fine if kids were moving like that, but it was because adults were moving like that it was weird to them. It made them feel uncomfortable. Yeah,
I have a lot of armchair psychologist theories about this. And I don't think any of them are really informed or worth bringing up. I'll just say I totally get it if someone sees like, wait a second, my guardian and caretaker belongs to this genre of person. Oh boy, if they're doing that, like I might die in the cold.
This is not safe.
That's a thought. Yeah, well, there could also be, because boy, I just have to imagine it's so tough to not regulate, but like if someone wants to overshare in that kind of space, I could see it happening really easily. Not that a 10 or 7-year-old necessarily is thinking like, better be on the lookout, or else someone's going to share too many details of their personal life at me. But in some intangible sense, it's like
it's a sense of a perception of boundarylessness.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. However, boundaries are so good and so helpful until you don't need them anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's why people go to do ecstatic dance. It's because we're so rigid in our lives. We're so boundaried in the way we think about ourselves. So they go in to experience freedom.
Yes.
However, I think for a developing young person, it's like the first part of life is all about building a boundaried sense of who you are. And so you're not at the place yet where you're like, well, I'm tired of all of this. Let me shed the ego and shed the mind. And
like when I was 7 and 10, I'll say I wasn't through with boundaries. I didn't know they existed at the time.
Right.
So I'm, figuring that out now in my 20s. But as a 10-year-old, I was grateful that like someone had their shit together and it didn't have to be me yet.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you were forming a sense of self, like, who is Brian versus somebody else in your family?
David, my brother David. It's him.
My brother David.
Yeah, it was versus David.
Always.
I know this is very. We shared about it. So yes.
Yeah.
There was like a Cold War of keeping our lights on a little too long relative to the other person's bedtime. So,
interesting.
That's the true crime of being a young child and loving to read is that if you share a bedroom, like someone else is suffering for your joy.
Oh God. Did you guys have flashlights? I mean, my sister and I had flashlights.
Little reading light, but
under the covers with the flashlight. So mom and dad wouldn't know.
Well, ergonomically, it just doesn't work out well for me. I need to be in the open. I need the light in the whole room.
Yes.
You have those little like desktop swivel lights.
Yes. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh.
But mostly we were flashlight folks because like our mom and dad would, we had to have the lights off.
Yeah.
Like, we were not allowed to read late, but I would read,
Yeah. Yeah.
midnight, 1, 2.
Oh yeah.
I would read. I mean, I could get caught into a book for hours and hours, like
I love that.
12 hours. Even.
Yeah, I so love that. Oh, is there anything we need to cover on the ecstatic dance front? Or are we good?
No, we're good.
Okay, let's run back to books. Yeah, I love that. I won't ask permission now. I'll just run far ahead. Yeah, because I definitely want to touch on like books, not verses, but books and music, like all the different media forms that a person can consume these days. Books are so cool to me because, well, first off, I raised with a love of reading and can read well enough that there's no barrier for me when I look at a book, and I'm very fortunate. Except for books on moral philosophy, I just can't. I just cannot. It's so dense, and I don't want to take the time. So that means that any book is, well, I'll say books as a group are just a great place to look for all the magic and wonder that I don't feel is showing up in my regular life. Since I'm not enlightened, the world is not just a source of constant joy and wonder. So I am going after the shit with like elves and fairies and magic and weird spaceships, and I just love it so much. And I'm very happy that like the authors of the world have obliged and put up a lot of cool worlds with characters I can like latch onto and identify with, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, themes and stuff.
Yeah,
it's good. Okay, it's going to happen. I'll just say that now.
Okay. I feel like like for me, I have to be kind of a little careful what books I read because I fall into them. They're just real to me. They're just very real. So when books are extremely violent or have I don't want, it's kind of like TV. TV is the same way for me in movies. If someone's head's getting blown off in the first 5 minutes, I can't watch that.
Thanks
to
to
me,
magicians.
that's like, it's like my head just got blown off.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. But I totally get it. Breaking Bad, I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
Nope. I tried.
Did you try?
Well, I can tell I know enough to know that it's great theatre.
I couldn't
but
even
also
watch
enough that I don't want to.
I couldn't even watch Schitt's Creek. Everyone loves that show. I could not watch it. I'm like, these people are miserable. I don't like them.
Yeah, no. There's a certain kind of I'm okay watching someone being mad and miserable as long as, well, first off, I want it to be like either truly great, like a great film, not a movie, but a film. So they reserve for like quality shit. Or I want that person to be miserable and they get to go and direct it somewhere else, and then that person directs it somewhere else, and it's like Archer, the comedy where just everyone is shitty to each other all the time. That's the default. And you mentioned this about Letterkenny, but you can tell that they don't feel that way in real life. Sometimes, like Breaking Bad, I had no idea. For all I know, every actor goes home and they're just like, oh my God, what is my life? I probably should murder someone. Like, it feels so real that you don't see the safety of knowing that they go home and like have an okay time.
Yeah, like they take their outfit off. Like they take their role off.
Like, God help Christian Bale. He must have wanted so badly to go out and fight crimes when he was Batman, and he probably couldn't. And that's torture.
Yeah.
I love Batman, so like that's okay. But a show where nobody wins. Breaking Bad, the Breaking Bads of the world. I just don't need it anymore.
Well, going back to like Letterkenny, this is for anybody who's not aware, this is an amazing comedy series that I think you can find on Hulu.
Super unsafe for kids.
Yeah, it's not safe for small children.
Okay. If you don't want their language to show up in everyday life, then kids shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, there's sex jokes on it. There's obscenities.
Lots of fighting.
Yeah, but the fighting isn't really.
No.
It's just kind of like silly. It's kind of silly fighting to me anyway.
Yeah, dude. Once someone can watch R-rated movies, they should be watching Letterkenny.
Yeah, nothing about that show bothers me. which is unusual for television, to be honest, because it's a whole comedy series about a small town and the different characters that live in the small town, and they're all like regularly ragging on each other, and yet if any one of them has a problem, all of the other members of the community will always like back them up. Like that's what I love about, and that's what I see that's what I want to see in the world.
Yeah, I want large groups of people to be ganging up on small groups of people constantly. I just need that, and I don't see it enough. So I'm putting the call out to you, anyone with a click. Watch Letterkenny and then go exact violence on people who don't have as many members as you do. Nope. Don't do that.
Well, it's like,
it's not good.
Okay, be humorous with one another.
Yes.
But also have each other's back.
Yeah.
Like remember where you come from. Like
In
we're all
way.
we're all from the same town, so to speak.
Yeah.
We're all different.
Yeah.
Like if you take Letterkenny and you blow it up all over the whole country or even the whole world, we have these different factions of how people see and experience the world. And it's okay to have differences amongst those groups. So that's what makes it so interesting living here.
Yeah.
But have each other's backs at the end of the day, which is what you see on that show.
And worth noting that like in real life, I would not want people to go beating up other people. And in Letterkenny, the stakes are just so, well, I guess to me, they seem trivial. I guess to a small town, they wouldn't seem as trivial. But yeah, you're not starting blood feuds over that. It's a great premise for a TV show. And in real life, I'd hope that people gang up on each other with compassion and understanding. Like, yeah, like I'd want people to show up at my door and be like, hey man, heard you're causing some trouble. We want to let you know. We care about you. We want to understand why, so that we can give you whatever it is that you need. You know, I'll share the load for a while.
Like in the show, like the main group, the Hicks, they call them, they're just kind of policing the town and making sure that everything that is right, that people are treating each other fairly well. That's what it feels like. They're kind of like the hillbilly police.
It feels to me first among equals.
Mm-hmm.
Like no official positions, but Wayne, main character, has he's earned respect by being the toughest guy in Letterkenny. Mm-hmm. But on a deeper level, he's earned respect by being forthright and not an asshole.
Fair.
Yeah. That's what it is. Not an asshole.
Yeah, he's not an asshole. His psyche kind of holds the whole show.
Yeah. Oh, he's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is.
Like
really
such a brilliant comedian. Yeah. I guess there's almost nothing. There's almost nothing I would want. I wouldn't want any of the behaviors in Letterkenny taken out and superimposed onto real life. Like I wouldn't want someone to look at Wayne fighting people and say, I'm going to go fight people, because that's how you make sure justice happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd want them to take away the completely intangible, if you believe energy exists, then this is the energy of the show, which is that people are punching around, but they're not punching down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I so admire someone who can make juicy comedy out of that in like a world where a lot of things that some people think are funny are actually super harmful and dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Do you like Ted Lasso? Did you watch that show?
Patrick Tran has told me to watch it, and my friend Pastor Matt Blazer, who I really hope ends up seeing this, has also told me to watch it, and I just haven't spent the $5 for a month's Apple TV subscription. I will eventually, and then I'll find out it's the heartwarming, feel-good comedy that everyone says it is.
It is. It's quite lovely. Yeah. It's hard to describe the sense of. It's just good.
Yeah,
there's a goodness to it that just wholesome.
Yeah, there's such room for that. I get a lot of that from books, because TV has such a market for people to be shitty, and books I feel have less of a market. Maybe it's because people. Man, I can only speak from my personal experience. I have such an easy time superimposing myself onto a character in a book.
Mhm.
because when someone takes so many words to write out a situation, it just gives me more time to immerse. On a TV show, it's more like, man, I want to be as cool as that guy.
Mm. Yeah, there's
There's
less consciousness to work with. So in a book, you're really dealing with the consciousness of the author.
Yeah, that's
In a
what it is.
TV show, there's multiple people and their interpretations of the characters. And it's not as, you're right. I think what you're pointing at is interesting.
There's also some of the Faceless Protagonist. This shows up a lot in video games. Is the designers will create a character who doesn't speak, like the character you play as just won't have words.
Yeah.
Or you'll get to choose what the character looks like. And that just gives you more opportunity to map yourself onto that character and experience whatever it is the game says they are to experience.
Sure. Yeah.
So games are such a great outlet for that. Books are a great outlet for that. Shows, there's another person's face on it. I'm not really going to believe that I'm over there in Letterkenny drinking and fighting a whole bunch, much as I
You're
want
right.
to.
It is a little more difficult to put yourself in there. That's interesting. Are there any shows that you find easy to immerse yourself into or easier?
Steve, let me think. Okay, give me a hot second. Parks and Rec, Community. Immerse myself in, not that I think I'm a character, but that I am super duper invested in the characters. There are two that spring to mind. One is Steven Universe, which is a beautiful cartoon about a young boy growing up with three coded as women parents. Everything is non-conventional. Like I grew up super conventional, so it's not that I need that part of my life shored up, but everyone is so, there's so much heart to it. And every character treats the other characters with such compassion and respect. And the growth arcs are incredible and complex, and everyone has their flaws and their faults, and other people get hurt. And everyone is invested in everyone else's good. And so that's beautiful. And I mean, so I can attach myself. I can attach myself to Steven's trying to come of age and figure out who he is. I can attach myself to any of Pearl or Amethyst or Garnets. There are many songs from Steven Universe that make me cry. Many. And I keep them on a playlist I call sad. And I don't listen to that unless I'm ready for some sad.
Yeah.
So that's the big one. That's the absolute big one. Poor timing on my part. The night that Lee died, I was watching Steven Universe, the movie. So now I guess I can't watch that again for a while.
Because you have a linkage between.
There's a linkage there. Yep.
Yeah.
So, well, but I mean, still beautiful stories. I mean, even the villains, there's just depth, and I feel like so much attention and care was put into it, and that comes through every episode. And then the other show is Over the Garden Wall, a charming 10 episode, 12 minutes per episode. This is my quick elevator pitch. I just have this ready. Show about two young boys lost in the woods and the struggles they go through and the things they learn about themselves and about each other. It is charming and beautiful and fall oriented, and the soundtrack is a delight. And I cry every time in the last episode at this one scene.
I love that you treasure these things.
I do very much.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to me. I mean, especially as COVID keeps happening.
Yeah.
And I don't feel I can go out into the world and impact living vicariously through various of television characters and books and music is a good second. And I'm very happy to have surrounded myself with a bunch of very rewatchable, shows and rereadable books. And I listen to the same music constantly. So that high capacity for just rewinding and starting over has served me well because I don't have to keep looking for new stuff.
I love that.
Yeah. And I just kind of stopped engaging with the stuff that made me feel really shitty about myself. It's like, if I'm feeling terrible after I watch this, is there some cultural impact I'm getting that outweighs me feeling like a human? I don't think so.
Right.
And mostly that just means don't watch Breaking Bad anymore.
Yeah. I didn't even try one episode. People were like, you won't like it. I'm like, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Just with the heads up, I'll leave now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the exception to this, I'm just going to drift right into music because I'm so ready to talk about it, is I, like any human, am not perfect. I have my struggles, and anger is a tough one for me. I didn't get to, anger was suppressed a lot in my youth. So as I was being a charming and lovable, cute, his face is so much younger than the rest of them is, lad of whatever, 15, 20, even into my early work years, as I had this is who I am, trust me. I was listening to like Mudvayne and Disturbed and Nine Inch Nails and Slipknot. And so all the things that I couldn't show, I could still engage with in whatever capacity through listening, because music like affects me. Not like I cry at everything, or not like I'll start punching walls, but it dredges shit up, and you can use that to drag yourself toward a feeling that you need to engage with. Or you can use that to like see something that you're not engaging that maybe would be good for you to engage. Like if I find myself with just Trent Reznor's every album he ever made playlist rolling, maybe there's some shit I'm buried that would like to show up and be expressed.
Do you have music lyrics that show up in your dreams? It happens to me all the time. Or I'll wake up with a song in my head.
It does not happen to me.
Yeah.
I do not put effort into cataloging my dreams. It's just, it hasn't been a thing of interest to me. But I'll definitely get a song stuck in my head throughout the day, or I'll play an album and then find I'm just hitting repeat, and that's where I need to live for a while. Yeah. And
what song is today? What's the song of today?
It's Aesop Rock has a song called The Gates, and I don't know what it's about, but it has a really cool backbeat, and he's really good at what he does. The other one is by They Might Be Giants. It's experimental film. Homestar.com did a music video like made by some of the characters, and that's goofy fun. And I've just been jamming out to that like a lot.
That's awesome.
It's so good. It's so good.
I have this one lyric. Well, I have two songs. One of them is Meet Me in the Woods by Lord Huron. You know that one?
I do not.
It's good. It's kind of mysterious.
I'll take it.
And the other one is the lyric. It's only one lyric, and it's "What a time to be alive."
I imagine they meant that somewhat differently. Well, I don't know. Maybe
it's positive. It's like,
yeah. Oh, they definitely meant that differently.
Alive. Yeah. What a time.
Well, you might even be feeling it positively.
I am.
I hear that. I'm like, you sick son of a bitch. Why are you saying that to me now?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely at this kind of place in my journey of, despite what I see out there, wow, it's good to be alive.
Yes. If only I could be there.
You will get there when you do.
In little ways, I am. Yes. I don't feel the need to be there. And it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago just I remember feeling like I just want to enjoy being human.
Oh, yeah, that was me last week.
Yeah. I felt like I was never going to get there. I would hear people say, "Oh, I love being human," or "I love being on Earth," and I'm like, "You're a fucking asshole."
Who are you talking to that's saying this out loud? What?
I had several people say it to me. I'm like, "How can you enjoy it? It sucks here." But now I'm one of those people. It's like, wow, I'm really grateful to be alive.
As long as you're not saying that at people, like, I can see you're sad. Let me put this on you for fun.
No, that's never helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's never helpful. Yeah. Well, we did it.
We did it.
Any final words?
Was that the end of it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh.
Do we need to talk more? Do we have more?
Well, I mean, if the time permits, I don't want to keep you. If you have something at 5, stop now.
Now just making Noah some soup.
Oh, yes. Oh, he's suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it'll be good for him to get some soup. There was one more song. You know, that Joy Olacadoon album, You sent
Yes.
me Bigger
Yes.
Man.
Yes. Which one? Bigger Man?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm
So
gonna have to listen to
such
that.
so many feels. I have thoughts on that.
I love that album.
Oh, it's great. It's a great album. Highly recommend.
What is the
It's
album even called? So people know.
In Defense of My
In
Happiness.
Defense of My Own Happiness. Joy Olada Kun. I don't know how to say her name.
I
Did you Google it?
I will get it right eventually.
Olada Kun. I don't know, but I bought tickets. I bought tickets to see her in concert.
Oh, Olada Kun. Shit, I was wrong.
Olada Kun. In
Yep,
Defense
Olada
of
Kun.
My Own
There we go.
Happiness.
That's
What I love about her is she writes a lot about the healing that she's done in her spirituality and reclaiming it for herself.
Yeah, that's the sense I got. It didn't feel like a Christian album, just felt like a spiritual album, which I don't have much room for. I'll be honest. I don't want to go listening to that a lot. Like, if I'm in the feels tank, I want to put on 9 Inch Nails and feel it.
Yeah.
Or I want to put on Steven Universe and cry my eyes out.
Right.
Or I want to put on this one choir's cover of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails and cry for 7 minutes straight.
Yeah.
But I have room for 1 or 2 spiritual albums, and this is one of those slots. It's so real.
It is real.
It doesn't feel overproduced. It's just a person using the power of music to put their feelings out there. That's why I got a piano, so I could eventually put feelings out there. I haven't done it much. That's okay.
No. Okay.
It's just a fun way to engage with music super casually.
I have the same thing. I have a couple of ukuleles. I have a guitar. I have something called a harmonium, which is
really.
Are you laughing at me that I have a harmonium?
I'm laughing at the existence of harmoniums. That did come out right. No, I'm
joking.
This is the joyful surprise of knowing that something still exists.
Yeah. Well, harmoniums are kind of like accordions. For anyone watching and no idea what that is, you pump it like an accordion and you play like a little keyboard, and it's used in Hindu spiritual music. It's for chanting. It accompanies people when they chant Sanskrit. And so I had a phase where I could only listen to spiritual music. Like everything else, the vibration of it felt so gross to me. I could only listen to sacred music. So I listened to a lot of Hindu music, and I'm like, well, I want to learn how to do this for me, however it would feel. So I took lessons. I bought one and I took lessons. Yeah.
I love going through a phase and then eventually not needing to do it anymore, but seeing how it's helpful.
Yeah.
Here's my dance literature phase, my human body phase, psych phase, sword phase.
Yeah, I have reclaimed my secular music.
Yeah. Oh, with all this talk about the themes and mapping yourself onto characters, like, it's important to remember that sometimes music is just good and fun. Sometimes a show is just fucking hysterical.
Yep.
Sometimes a video game just has really good mechanics you can feel good about. It doesn't always have to be this active pursuit of some splintered fragment of yourself. And if it shows up later, like, bonus.
Yeah, we don't have to analyze it.
Yeah.
We don't have to hyperanalyze it. I think I'm over that. It used to be everything that I engaged in. And I'm like, why am I liking this? Why does this attract me? Why am I not attracted by that? It was like but that was an important phase. Like, I needed to do that to become more conscious. And now I'm like, no, I just feel like doing this. I
get called overthinker a lot.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I get where it's coming from. If I may rebut on, since I have the microphone here, I have a lot of brain power, damn it. And if some of that goes towards thinking an awful lot about really inconsequential shit, like, I'm getting my work done. I'm showing up where I need to. So I will overthink. I know that sounded defensive, but it's important. Like, I want to normalize that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only, let me be bold. I think it's only overthinking if it's causing neglect. Sort of like your obsession is, boy, I have no idea if this is right. I just heard once, like, addiction is obsession that's now to the detriment of other things. And I'm sure there are a lot of, like, semantic tweaks to make there. I'm sure addiction has, different root causes than garden variety obsession. However, if you're not hurting anyone, do whatever you want. Works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I think the only time overthinking is really a problem is if your overthinking is rigid.
Oh, wow. Ooh, cool. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's God. Yeah, I so appreciate the quiet and considered ideas that you put out for me to find. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, like are
Mm,
you open-minded? Are you able to look at each thought
mm,
and let it go immediately? Oh, that's a
yeah.
cool thought.
Mm.
Oh, that's a cool thought. Oh, that's a cool thought.
I should go eat food. All the different thoughts. That's not me right now, but just all the different thoughts of the world. Ah, and
Then you're
of
not
course,
stuck in the mind. You
yeah,
don't get trapped.
yeah. And all this so much easier said than done. I'm not going to get at anybody for having a thought they can't shake and being stuck there for a
Mm,
while.
yeah, sure.
Like if the trust is there, I'll mention it. In the same way that if I were there, I'd want someone to gently mention it to me. But you're not going to like forcibly knock someone out of that. You're not going to
No, no,
shame
no.
someone out of that.
No, I've learned my
Just
lesson
be
with
like,
that.
hey, I see this is taking up a lot of brain space. You good? Yeah? Okay, I'll go fuck off then. Perfect level of involvement.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there are certain relationships for sure where I feel there has been an invitation for me to say, that's a story. You're in a story.
Yeah.
That's a story that you have about yourself. That's a story you're making about someone else. Is that
Yeah.
actually true? But most people aren't interested in having their stories exposed.
Yeah. Oh, I take it. Well, because whatever it is that you want to bring up that isn't like super casual, you need the trust, like whatever reservoir of trust you need to be able to safely bring that up.
Mhm.
And first, to be questioning someone's foundational stories, only a few people could do that. And I mean,
Yeah.
I know from experience you're one of them. And so I'm not at all surprised when you say that it shows up a few times. I'm also not
Oh,
surprised that it only shows up a few times because it's a big ask
yeah. Yeah, it is. It is a big
to
ask.
let someone in enough to say, hey, I think this fundamental part of who you think you are is worth questioning. Like,
Right.
damn. Like that, there are very few people I will let in for that
Hmm.
because it's scary. And if you walk in with like a barbed question about it, then
Yeah.
I was thinking recently, like if someone gets really agitated and blows up, like how much is on them for not having not having built the safety and the boundaries to be able to take it, and how much is on the person who's just like, what about now? What about now? What about now? You're a dick. What about now?
Mm.
Um,
Well, that's not a conscious person. A conscious person would never approach someone else in that way. You can trust people to come to you and help you dismantle your stories about yourself only if they have dismantled their own stories. Otherwise, not, you don't get
yeah,
anywhere.
at least locally. It's like
Mhm.
tough to if your bar is this person has to have figured out their shit on every front, then you will not find that person.
Sure.
So
It's a rare person.
everything is incremental and by degrees, and I think it's really cool to like they just kind of get to like push back the edges on all these different fronts periodically until at some
Yeah.
point you find yourself with all this extra space. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't want to go putting absolutes anywhere and saying you need to have this much figured out before you can do this for another person. Like everything
That's
is subject
true.
to so many cute little. Previously, we interacted here and they held my trust well, so
Mhm.
we have a lot of room to work with.
Yep. I think
Um,
you're right.
yeah. So I will not start labeling people conscious or unconscious because I don't get to do that yet.
I don't think anyone really should, but it's a spectrum, right?
Yeah. Well, we can talk very abstractly, and that's safe as long as we don't name names.
Yep. That's very
Yeah.
true.
Ah,
Well,
ah.
how do you feel now? Do we feel complete?
I'm good to call it here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
Okay.
for spending the extra 10 minutes.
You're
I feel
welcome.
like
It's my
I always
pleasure.
find all the cool thoughts show up at the very end where you're like, no, I didn't have enough time. I needed everyone to know I'm really smart about boundaries.
Yes, you are.
No, well, thank you. I wasn't fishing for that. I was
I'm going to
fishing.
give it to you anyway.
Thanks. No, I appreciate it so much.
All right. I'm just going to stop the recording.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.